And I will start with OCE, which is our beloved region, which does begin next week. Has not begun yet. It's actually the one region that starts the latest, but ends about the same point as everyone else.
Late bloomer.
So it's obviously one that I think everyone would be able to predict who we think is going to absolutely make the major. We've both gone identical. You could put them up, overlay each other.
Almost identical,
and there's not many differences. So we both got Bliss. Now, for those unaware, of course, Jigsaw going to Koi is a big factor. We won't mention who's obviously joining. We'll leave that one.
Not public, I don't think.
It's not super public, but it's kind of public if you know. And then obviously we've both gone for what is, I guess, the dark horse underdogs being Triple R, Rapid Response Regiment, and Circular Spheres, both of which have made some changes. Circular Spheres picking up Player and Juicy from Homeless back in stage 1, which I think are actually decent acquisitions. And for Triple R, obviously the former wildcard team, they made a couple of changes themselves. They picked up Nate, and they actually picked up Pinku as well from CS, which I think is a really good pickup. So the way I view this region is you've got basically, 7 play days, or what? You got to go 7-0 basically, if you think about it, because that's what Bliss did last stage. They're all best of ones. You play no best of threes. There's no finals. It's kind of like the Premier League. It's like the soccer. You got to finish first. You've got to finish first to go to the major, which means anytime you play Bliss, that's your grand final.
Yeah.
You have to beat them. You cannot rely on losing to Bliss and hoping they lose to someone else. You've got to beat them. So I don't know what the fixture looks like in terms.
I don't know. Maybe you should. I don't know if you could bring it up. I don't know if it's public or not. Maybe you'd be able to find the fixture, because I'm looking the Bliss and Regiment Response, whatever the fuck their name is obviously a big game, ex wildcard roster, and then the Bliss Circular Spheres game. Those are the ones that are probably going to dictate the major. But for me, the storyline heading into this, Bliss are the favorites. They should be the favorites.
It is not live.
Okay.
The fixture.
But have they taken too far of a step back losing Jigsaw? That is the big question. How big of a loss will it be? How much have they had to change in the back end? Will their replacement be a 1-to-1? I mean, as respectfully as I can put it, whoever you're replacing Jigsaw with is more than likely not going to be as good as Jigsaw, because he was such an enigma and such a good player in the region. That said, the rest of the team is rock solid, and Bliss of all the teams had, the best defined roles, and they were able to flex their muscles in that regard in stage 1. So Response, Circular Spheres, still playing catch up, but there is a world in which in the 7BO1 format, which I will reiterate is shit, they could pull something out. And with no BO3 in sight, anything can happen, especially with that roster change.
And speaking of the very shit format that it is, and we will happily shit on it because it is a shit format. You're playing 7 best of ones to see if you go to the major. Carlton's Knights, I have actually in my probably not tier, which means I give them like a 2% chance. Well, you give them 0 because you've got them in the absolutely not. It's a team that has Pat Campo, Josh and Worthy, and Leb, which I don't know if that's the old Leb. Do you know if it's the old
I think so. Look, I don't see them as a 2% chance of making the major, but I have them as a 2% chance to upset Bliss from making the major, or like whoever the top team is. Maybe it comes down to the final play day and Carlton's Knights just throw everything they have at like the top team and they knock them out or something. That's the kind of storyline that would be really fun to see.
I would love to see Carlton's Knights go to the major, of course, without Carlton.
That'd be good too.
That'd be good. Obviously, Circular Spheres, as we quickly touched on. I like their roster. Player, Juicy, Japer, Jcana, Goof. I think it literally just comes down to, can you win your best of 1 against Bliss? That's going to be obviously a very difficult ask. And Rapid Response, Logic, Pinku, Tuhan, Edpen, Nate. If you get Prime Nate and you're getting Pinku and he's continuing his path towards becoming a great player, that's a really, really solid roster. Like, those are 2 danger games for Bliss. They'll be aware of that. They have to take them seriously. As much as you might want to see someone like an Oda talking shit about these guys and saying the whole region's absolutely dog water, they will have to take those 2 games seriously, potentially 3 with Carlton's Knights.